Now, in order to create our floodplains, we're going to make what's called a net. So for this, we need to sort of redesign our schematic a little bit. It's a mistake I made. Again, this is me still learning KiCad. I've only used it a few times, and every time I use it, I learn a whole bunch and get better at it. So that's why we're doing this project first before you actually build a real circuit board. So let's switch over to our schematic editor. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this wire and this wire, and I'm going to delete this wire. Oh, I just hit home and it zoomed out. And then I can use my mouse wheel and zoom in, and I'm going to delete this wire, and I'm going to delete this wire. Now this looks a little weird, but it's actually going to be sort of converting this to the same style circuit as we use a lot of times in like Falstad, where we create a starting point. It's called power, and that's going to be hooked. I'm going to rotate it twice, and it's going to be here, and I'm going to put one here, also called power. It's important they have the same exact name. And now I'm going to create another one called GND. I'm going to put it there. I'm going to put it here, GND. And I'm going to put one here, GND. Again, the actual name doesn't matter as long as they're the same every time. And now we need to wire those up just like we did before. If you get an extra little wire hanging off, that means you didn't actually make a good connection. So now we're going to update our pieces. We're going to hit annotate, and it probably didn't change anything. It didn't. Then we're now going to run the rules checker again. We're going to run ERC. We're good. We don't have to change any footprints because we didn't change anything, any symbols. We just changed the nets. I'm now going to go back over to here. Oh, and we're going to save this. And now we're going back over, Alt-Tab back over. Alt-Tab is a quick way to switch to applications. Or I could go and if I mouse over here, all my windows are open here. But I'm now going to click on the Update PCB, which changes the base schematic. There is a warning. I think it's just that one of the pins on our switch has nothing attached to it. That's because we're not using every pin on the switch. That's fine. I'm going to update PCB. Now, you didn't see in the discarded video when I tried to do this, there were no nets. So I'm going to go and start my top floodplain, and it's going to be our power plane. That's going to be the top. I'm going to go to power and hit OK. And we're just going to trace around the edges of our PCB. And you'll see there's a red fill. And I'm going to double click to finish it, bring it back around. So now I have my circuit, and that looks pretty good. And now we can take and we need to generate our floods, which you'll see in a moment. So we're going to go right click, fill zone. So that's going to fill that in as a power plane. And notice the random connection is no longer showing anything. And if we go to our 3D view, 3D viewer, you can see our circuit board is all one color with a carve out for the traces, but it's mostly that. Now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do the bottom, and we're going to make a floodplain there. So I'm going to close this. We're going to go to our back copper, and we're going to start in the same corner. Oh, I'm going to click on the floodplain tool, and we're going to pick ground. OK. And now I just have to walk myself around. I can just use the same points I did last time. Notice this one is filled blue. That's good. It zooms in on your mouse, so you can sort of easily zoom in and out. And then there, I'm now going to regenerate. or right click, fill all zones. And if we go to our 3D view again, if we look at our bottom, you can see this, and you can see this is ground, that's ground, that's ground, and the switch has no grounds because they're not hooked in. So you can see the X, that connects that to the pin. So there is our flashlight. Now, we can export this and make a 3D model from it. But before we do that, we should do a little bit more cleanup. We're going to add a few things, like we're going to add some text to the bottom, sort of putting our name and some information about it so that people know it's ours. So for this, we're going to click the back silk screen button. And I'm going to click on anywhere in the middle of the back. And that's okay. Actually, we're going to switch to text tool, back silk screen, simple. So simple flashlight, I can put this here. If I double click on it, I can edit this information. I can do the height. Let's make the height 3 millimeters. Or no. I make it 3 millimeters. And I make it 3 millimeters wide. And I'm going to make it 0.25. I don't think even more. 0.5. So nice and big, thick traces things. Now, it's mirrored because now if we go to our view, 3D viewer, it looks correct. I could flip it over. I want it to go the other way. So if I want it to be the other way, I'm going to hit close. I'm going to hit this, R. It looks really funky from here. Move, and let's put that there. And I'm going to go to text. I'm going to add some more text. Bye. And I'm going to add one more. And again, let's make this 2 and 2 and 0.35. RR, so it's upside down and backwards. Again, it looks real funky, but when I go to my 3D viewer, see, it's got my nice, it actually looks really nice and professional. We can do all sorts of things. I can show later a really complicated where I have everything labeled with different designs and information about how the board's used and what parts to buy for it. But here's our simple flashlight. Our next step will be to generate cut files and export them.